parent that's going through all this, then maybe that could create a toxic home
Mhm.
environment or a
Mhm.
bad relationship. So like it's like very full circle. Like it all makes sense. But yeah, that's why later on I'll talk about how I like overcome that stress and how that stress rash just like goes away after
That's
a while.
great. Yeah, well, and that's such great advice, that learning how to recognize it in others too, because that changes how you kind of respond or react. Because sometimes, if a person all of a sudden snaps at you because of something that you thought was pretty like minor, it could be an indication that they were under a very stressful period, right? So they were going through an
Mhm.
episode of stress. And those are things that, we need to start to be able to recognize. So this way we can help to manage it both in ourselves and to help our friends so manage it as well. There are lots of different ways people talk about how to de-stress, right? How to kind of relax and unwind. That's kind of the title of today's episode. And one of the top ways to do it that many, many people talk about is exercise. And part of the reason why I think exercise is such an important part of de-stressing is because it helps to kind of release that tension, and it helps to make your mind a little bit more clear, because naturally your body produces endorphins as you are exercising, right? The joyful hormone, they call it. And as it's beginning to release those endorphins, it kind of helps to manage a lot of these things that usually are throwing you off balance. And things like running and cycling. You guys all know, if any of you have ever watched a show, biking is like life for me, right? So I bike all the time, and it's both for physical fitness, but more importantly, I love doing it first thing in the morning, early in the morning before the sun even comes up, because that helps me to just puts me in the right mood for the day, because it helps me to think about all the stuff I've got to get done. I'm actually running through things in my mind as I'm cycling. Another reason why I do it early in the morning is because there's no traffic, so I can be focused on trying to think about what I'm supposed to be doing. And then just when I'm done, it's just I feel completely prepared to kind of tackle the day. And I'm sure a lot of people who exercise feel the same way, right, Sister Joy?
Absolutely. And just getting out there in nature, getting some good vitamin D from the sun as Floridians. I mean, that's
Oh yeah,
inevitable.
yeah.
You step right outside and there you go.
We have direct access to vitamin
There
D,
you
right?
go. You need some, you can just
It's the being in
bottle it up for
Florida.
you.
Another one is journaling. I don't do it personally, but well, I guess in a way I sort of do, but I do it electronically. A lot of people journal, like the old school way of doing it was always you sit down and you kind of write in a diary, right? Or you write in a journal. And there's sort of this very cathartic feeling of being able to do all of that. But then you now we're in a digital age. So a lot of people are doing it on their iPads, or they're journaling on on their computers and things. And really, the act of journaling is just getting your thoughts down out of your mind into some organized fashion. So this way it can kind of help declutter, right? It's a way of getting rid of everything that's kind of piled up in your head and getting it onto paper or digitally somewhere. So this way it's also organized and kind of helps you to problem solve. And then along with that is being able to make that kind of goes hand in hand, right? Because when you finally see all the things that you've got to get done, all the things that are causing you stress, being able to now look at it all laid out and organized, or somewhat organized, helps you to be able to manage your time, to know, well, this takes me 20 minutes to do, this takes me 15 minutes to do, this is going to take me 30 minutes to do, but I've only got 25 minutes to do all of it. So then you can kind of decide what it is that I'm going to do today, and other things that I'm going to be able to put off tomorrow and prioritize. And the last two things that are, what are very commonly referred to as effective de-stressing techniques are breath work and mindfulness. This is a very, very common exercise that people go through. And when we talk about breath work, if you guys have all heard when you're stressed out, you're angry, you're upset, people say, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and count to 10. Have you guys all heard that before? Right?
Absolutely. I hear that too. My kids also remind me, they're like, wait, we got to count to 10. I'm like, what
Count to
for?
10. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
Or unless you're like, no, now I'm gonna have to count to 100. So, but it's there's some science behind it. It really is. I mean, I used to think it was just just somebody was trying to distract you, like get your mind off of what it was you were angry about or stressed about, get your mind out of there, and just give yourself time to kind of reset. breath work really is something that's an exercise that has a physiological effect on your body as well, because when you take the deep breaths and you're
Yeah.
breathing in that oxygen and you're pushing out all of that carbon monoxide, and you do that repetitively, it's helping to calm your nervous system. It's actually slowing your heart back down again,
You
right?
know,
So
one
it's
thing
really
I've noticed that it's really, it truly is works hand in hand, breath work, because if you take a moment and notice during the height of stress, for me, I'm not breathing. That, like you mentioned earlier, my muscles are tense and I'm like, oh yes, I have to breathe. Okay. And then when you breathe, even like you physically, you become more relaxed, right? And then you can be
yeah.
more intentional with your breathing. So yeah,
It is
And,
definitely.
and,
because
and
because with stress, that's your your body is programmed. It's amazing how your body is programmed to
Mhm.
realize that there's a stress, and it's called the fight or flight response.
Yes.
And so that's what's happening within your body. That's why your heart beats faster, because your body recognizes that you're stressed out, because there's, like, let's say, like what Brother Rob said, morning walks. Let's say that there's like a dog who's all of a sudden barking, not leashed. Your body tenses up, it's stressed out, it realizes that this is a potential threat. So all of those things culminate, and then that's what causes you to feel like rigid, you're not breathing. And then, once the stressor goes away, then your body will relax and calm down. So that's why that breathing, because maybe sometimes your body's not recognizing, oh, the stressor is gone. There's no longer stress. And so that's like what Brother Rob said. The breathing will help calm your body down, because it feels like it needs to remain in that fight or flight response. So
it's kind of pushing you into, or forcing you into sort of a state of relaxation, and it's lowering your heart rate down a little bit. And one of the things too that I wanted to point out, because remember, when you talk about mindfulness is a common practice in stress reduction, and it actually is focusing on and trying to clear your mind of all of the things that are creating that stress around you. And that's one of the things that centers on mindfulness. But as part of our Christian culture, because here as members of the Church of Christ, we actually, even though mindfulness is a good practice for many, for us, our primary practice is prayer. And there's a difference, right, between mindfulness and prayer. The differences between the two is mindfulness is us thinking that we ourselves can get rid of all of the stress in our bodies by just focusing on ourselves and focusing on our inner being, and the things that you often hear when people talk about mindfulness. Where with in our Christian culture, prayer is actually understanding, believing, and having faith that the person, or the one that can actually get rid of that stress, is God. And we do that through prayer because we ask for guidance through whatever the stressful situation is, and most importantly, peace. That we can be at peace and accept whatever it is that we're going through. Because the minute you can accept whatever struggle you're going through at that moment, when you're willing to accept it because you know that it's a path that isn't ours, it's God making that decision, it helps you to kind of calm down and relax. And it's one of the things that's unique for us, because we have sort of that understanding, which many people don't, with just mindfulness, where it's more self reliance. We could do a whole show on, I think, mindfulness versus prayer, because there's so many things to unpack when we talk about that, right? But we want to be able to move on, because we got some great techniques that are offered by our panel here. And one of the things that we want to talk about unwinding is, one of the first things is disconnecting from technology. The whole point is, we're trying to relieve stress. We're trying to remove ourselves from stressful situations. And it's important sometimes that in order to remove ourselves from stressful situations, it requires us to unplug, because maybe the cause of that stress is you're scrolling through social media and seeing things that trigger you, right? That trigger stress in your life. And those are the things that you want to be able to pull back from. Turning off notifications is another stressor, because I'm sure many of us will suffer from what they call notification fatigue, because you're just getting dings all day long, stress from text messages, that are coming through, social media updates, and things that are just all things that we think we have to pay attention to in the moment. And then even just setting screen time limits, so this way you're not overwhelming yourself with just looking at a screen all day long, and getting more and more stressed because of things, like I said, that trigger you. Creating a calm environment is a big thing. You want to transform your home, create a relaxing space, calming colors. It's funny because there's a whole sort of industry built around being able to create spaces that elicit certain reactions, right? Whether it's color schemes or soothing colors. Sister Lida, what to you is kind of a calming, soothing color? Like if you could paint your room into something that's going to turn it into some super relaxing place, what color would that be?
I feel like purple is a very calm color.
Really?
Very just, yeah, to me when I look at it, I'm just like at ease. I don't know if it's just me, but purple to me, I guess it reminds me of like a sunset. Like, it's just like this is your time to just chill out and relax.
And
And
relax.
yeah, I also like yellow, but I think yellow is more of like a happy color. It's not like a relaxing color to me. So,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of these like marketing companies, right? They know that certain colors trigger certain reactions or
oh
elicit certain
right.
emotions, right?
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna say like I think red makes you like hungry or
definite
something.
trigger, yeah. I
Yeah,
think I live in a red house. Apparently, that must be the reason why. What about you, Sister Charisse? What colors are things that help to calm you?
The my backdrop, my
The
INC
orange
backdrop.
sunset, kind of a
Yes,
very
when I
valid.
see it, I look forward to seeing it every Saturday because I know I'm gonna feel calm and relaxed being with all of you. But yes, and look at it, isn't it beautiful? It's very
It's
relaxing.
calming, right? And then what about you,
Hmm.
Sister Joy?
We are all true Floridians right here because we're thinking about
Apparently so.
the sunset, right? But I do have to say, my calming like color is blue, like a light blue.
I
Yeah,
think I think the same. Yeah, for me, it's kind of the blue. I love neutral colors, so like
yeah.
blues and like light greens and things like that are always very
That's where I
calming.
am for
Yeah. In fact,
like the
my
slides.
studio here is that color.
I
So
do.
now let's talk about like the different things that we want to do aside from creating a common environment. You can also use the smells, right? Like lavender and eucalyptus are very relaxing smells. And then creating hobbies to help you sort of de-stress your mind, and of course nature. We're Floridians, we love to go outside, so let's talk a little bit about what are the things that some of our panels love to do to relax. And we're going to start with you, Sister Cherise. And I do have a question with one of these because one of them looks like it would be the opposite of de-stressing, but
I have an explanation for why it's the opposite.
yes.
But yes, so my de-stressors and the way that I like to unwind and relax, especially after coming, home from a hard day at work, is going on daily walks, either in the morning or in the afternoon with my kids. And so my kids always love to join with me to do my walks. And so there in the top left, you see little Rose, and she likes to bring her stroller with her babies in there. And then eventually, maybe 5 minutes into the walk, she gives up on the stroller and asks me to push it for her. So that itself is very relaxing for me. And then of course I have going to the beach. We're like Sister Joyce said, we're Floridians. This is where honestly the beach is where I find my happy place. If I've had like a very stressful week, with work or with getting projects and assignments done for the kids' school. I mean, I have three of them. And so now it's like the teachers are just throwing out projects left and right. So going to the beach and even if it's in cold weather, just seeing the waves, it's very calming and it's just very peaceful and beautiful. And then the other one that I just got into is actually diamond art. And my neighbors are the ones that got me into that. They were like, "Oh yeah, I love to just unwind and just do diamond painting." And I said, "What is diamond painting?" And so they got me into it. And it's just very relaxing. It's almost like colors by number, but this is one that I finished the other night. And so it's just really, I don't know. I find it relaxing.
That
I can sit
that
there
looks
and do it all
very
night.
relaxing.
It is. It's relaxing. And then
Well,
the
I think
other
I'd be more
one,
stressed though because I can't color within lines, and so I'd be super stressed
no,
doing
you
that.
just match the beads to the numbers and it's perfectly easy. I enjoy it very much. And I even got the girls into it as well and my son Caden. So it's a family It's a family activity now. And then that brings me to my last one, which Brother Rob said might be stressful for most, but it's not stressful for me because I enjoy riding my motorcycle with my husband. And let me explain, people, when they hear motorcycle, they think busy intersections, interstates,
Yeah,
going
driving
downtown.
in Florida traffic, that's not stressful at all, right?
No, that is not how I do this activity. So where I live probably about 2 miles from the Alabama state line. It's not even a 5 minute drive. And in my neighborhood, I take nothing but back roads, back neighborhoods just to get to, you know, the main road that leads me to a beautiful section of nothing but woods and trees, and it's a 2 lane highway. Everybody's doing the speed limit and it's never congested. It's just so beautiful and peaceful for me because I'm going through all my little turns. Maybe every now and then I like to speed up, but it's just very, very peaceful. And it's just something freeing about it. I don't know. I enjoy that
It is.
very much.
Well,
Hmm.
it's being out. Well, now that I understand that you're not dodging
No.
traffic, that's definitely I can see how that could be very peaceful. So those are all awesome techniques. We also got some here from thanks Sister Cherie, Sister Lida. What about you? What are your techniques for helping to de-stress? One of these I definitely can be on board with for sure.
Yeah, I like I'm definitely a foodie. So when you were talking about that, Brother Rob, you just love to eat. I also love to eat. And I think part of part of like um the reason why it's so de-stressing for me is I don't eat out a lot. Like it's not a very common thing, but when it does happen, it's kind of like a change of routine. So it's interesting to me, like earlier we learned that like setting up a routine for yourself is what will help with like stress relief later on. But for me, sometimes getting out of that routine is is what like helps me calm down and realize like, you know what? I don't have to do that today. Maybe we'll do something else today. Like uh I have a lot of like hobbies that keeps my mind busy. So I like to crochet. If you can see, that's a little broccoli. I don't know. It might look
You
like an
you didn't
asparagus or
you didn't eat
something.
that
I
afterwards, did
love
you?
it.
I
I
did not
love
eat
it.
it, but but I was like, oh, this is it. I also made like little like characters. I make little fruits sometimes, and then I also like to paint. So and like I painted on the beach. So it's we live in Florida. Like we have this
Is
is
that what
part
that
of where.
is?
Oh yeah, that's what that is. It's like I painted the beach
The
while on the
coast.
beach. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And and it's funny cuz earlier we also learned about technology and how that could also stress us out, but I feel like sometimes it also gives us ideas on like how
Mhm.
to de-stress. So that's where I took that one from, where I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I also love to paint. And there's something about like flat land and just like you can just hear the water. It's just like you're not thinking about anything. And it's a very rare moment that you're just there. You're just sitting and it's really nice.
Nice and calming. Well, great. Oh, these are all great techniques. I think it's, being able to use creative outlets, being able to try and experience new things. These are all terrific methods. And like I said, I definitely am on board with de-stressing my way through every dessert place in Orlando. So I can go through that with you guys. All right. Well, we've got to wrap up because we are the fastest 30 minutes on radio, as you know. And in this case, we're the fastest 35 minutes on radio because no stress, but we're over a little bit. But this is a really important topic. It's really important for everyone to understand why you have to be able to manage your stress because it just in the long run is going to be detrimental to your health. So let's make sure that you're giving yourself an opportunity to develop a good routine, prioritizing sleep and nutrition, stay hydrated. Hydration is just good for everything. It's just, there's no bad side to hydration, right? And then, of course, being able to maintain your personal boundaries and knowing how to say no. So that way you aren't putting yourself in even more stressful situations. But please stay tuned because our wonderful friends over at INCRadio South Central States, Sister Arnie and Brother Nate, thank you guys for allowing us this additional time to be able to go over this. No stress. But we're going to be, of course, back next week at the same time. But for now, this is Brother Robert Tabalos here in Tampa, Florida, for Sister Charisse up there in Pensacola, for Sister Joy there in Orlando, who's also joined by Sister Elida. Thank you guys so much for joining us today here on INC Radio Florida.